Last year, the United States had the 6th highest divorce rate in the world, suggesting millions of people can benefit from some love advice.
And today, we have a few tips for a long and healthy relationship.
Whether it's marriage or just dating, you can take steps to keep your relationship going strong. First, move the TV out of the bedroom. Watching the tube in bed can kill intimacy by distracting couples from using that time to relax and connect with each other. Also, become friendly with each other's families. A University of Michigan study found married couples are 20% less likely to divorce if the husband is close with his in-laws. But be careful, the risk of divorce increases if the wife cozies up too much with her husband's parents. The reason? Women eager to please in-laws may feel uncomfortable setting healthy boundaries.
Another way to solidify a relationship is to get a furry friend together. In fact, studies found that sharing a pet is actually a better indicator of whether a couple will stay together than having a child.
Oh, and by the way, just in case you're curious, Russia, #1 for divorces.
All right. And when you're finally at the point when you know that you want to stay together for the long haul, there are a few things you might want to sort out before you make that long-term commitment.
That's where a prenuptial agreement can come into play, and you may be thinking to yourself, well, that's only if there's a large amount of money at stake. Not necessarily. Dean Betts of the Betts Law Firm in Georgetown is here this afternoon to help us better understand prenuptial agreements and determine if it might be the right thing for you. Dean, thanks for coming in. Appreciate this.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, let me start with the basics here. What is a prenuptial agreement?
Prenuptial agreement is an agreement between two people who are planning to get married, and it sets out what happens with their assets in case they get divorced or in case one of them dies.
And you know, when you hear prenup, you think of like the Donald Trumps of the world, you know. You think of people with a lot of money, but it's not necessarily all about the money, right?
Not necessarily. There are two components to a prenuptial agreement. One is asset protection, so that certainly comes into play. But there's also an estate planning component to a prenuptial agreement.
Okay, well, let's back up to the asset protection. Let's start with the first one there. What if somebody doesn't have a lot of money, but they do want to protect what they have? Is the prenup still what they want to do?
Absolutely. There are assets that people would want to protect in case, again, of divorce or death of a spouse. And they can be a house or a business interest or something that they've accumulated prior to this marriage that they want to either pass on to their heirs or protect in case of divorce.
And you're talking about perhaps if they're in a second marriage, they want to look out for children in their first marriage?
That's usually a good idea when you're contemplating a second or subsequent marriage. You have a family from your first marriage, and you don't want your spouse to be to take their assets in case you die, or if there's a divorce, to dissipate your estate that you've accumulated.
Divide it the way they want it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's assets. Let's go to property. Can you have a prenuptial agreement that's just property that doesn't really deal with money?
Well, I'll tell you, aside from fighting over the kids and custody disputes, the most contentious issues that can come up in a divorce deal with things like pets, or collectibles, Hummels, Beanie Babies, Longer Burger baskets.
Really?
They can be very contentious, believe it or not.
Oh my.
Now, you can't just go out and write up any kind of prenup agreement. There's some requirements that need to be met before they're enforceable.
Absolutely. The agreement has to be in writing, signed by both parties. It has to be a voluntary agreement, meaning there can't be any undue influence or coercion to get the other party to agree to the terms. There has to be full disclosure of your assets and your incomes and your liabilities so that you know what you're getting into. You should each have independent legal counsel when you're going into signing the prenuptial agreement, so that that attorney can give you independent legal advice about the advisability of the agreement. And you also have to have sufficient time to consider the agreement and the terms of the agreement. Don't rush into it. Don't call the lawyer the week beforehand and say, we're getting married on Saturday, we need a prenup.
Before then. And I guess just common sense would be, it would be better for the two to not come to the same attorney. In other words, both man and wife wouldn't come to you.
No.
They each need to get independent.
No, they would each have at least the opportunity to have independent legal advice.
Right.
Okay. The I do's have been said. Is it too late for any kind of an agreement like this?
There are things called post-nuptial agreements, agreements between a husband and wife after they've become married, but they are scrutinized much more closely than a prenuptial agreement, simply because the married couple at that point is supposed to be looking out for each other. So the court really wants to see that the agreement is fair to both parties. Any unfairness in that type of agreement may not be enforced by the court.
Now, prenuptial agreement can be a touchy subject. You know, you don't want to bring it up because it's almost like you're preparing for your marriage not to last. Is there some way to maybe bring it up and not get into that issue?
Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that, yes, part of it is that you're planning for the marriage to fail, right? You're getting divorced. But the other part that you're planning for is the success of the marriage. If the marriage is successful and you're in this marriage until you die, the prenuptial agreement also deals with those issues upon the death of one of the spouses. So
That's the positive
you
side.
could put a positive spin on it.
All
Dean
right.
Betts, thank you so much
Thank
for joining us.
you.
Thank you.
Great
And if you'd
information.
like more information from the Betts Law Firm, or if you'd like a mini guide to family law, go to delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab. Still to come on Delmarva Life, it's a game show you've been watching probably for most of your life. I know I have. The Price is Right, the contestants' prizes, and those famous 3 words. What it's like to be part of the taping of the show. Brian Spyrus goes behind the scenes and talks with host Drew Carey. But first, we all need to take steps to make our lives a little easier. Ways you can take the headaches out of cleaning and cut your time in half.
All right, before we get there though, we've been telling you we're giving away $5,000 over the next several weeks. $250 a day for the next 18 weekdays. And it's simple. All you have to do is watch Delmarva Life at 4 o'clock. We ask you a question about the previous day's show. You be the 16th caller with the correct answer. 3 minutes you've got to call us at 443-880-9116.
All right, you ready? Here's today's question. On Friday, Brian was out and about on Delmarva. What landmark did he feature as part of his Where is Brian segment? Call right now with your answer, 443-880-9116. Good luck.